And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the capital metropolitan area of Michigan. It's I, John Dean, aka
Dude.
And Too Much Podcast, Rescripting the culture, one conversation at a time. And good morning, my love.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. You?
I'm well, enjoying this wonderful long weekend so far.
Longer for some than others, but that's okay.
And do you have a longer weekend?
Oh, you do?
Do you?
No.
You go to work on Monday?
No.
Okay, so you have a long weekend.
You hater. So people, and this is what I don't get. So people who work in schools now, when did y'all start getting Friday off too?
Are you mad?
Yeah.
We still got to work the same amount of days. It doesn't reduce. Like, we still got to do 190 days.
Anyway, so
You see how she hates? We still got to
Friday
fulfill
off.
190.
And then
Does it matter if we still fulfill our requirement? You are something else.
you are really something else. Yeah, I'm salty. But anyway, yes, this is a longer weekend than normal.
Well, and today is Saturday for the most part, so Friday don't even exist. She mad about yesterday.
And laugh.
Anyways, how did your week go?
It was fine, uneventful. That's how I like it.
How exciting is that?
What about you?
Well, this was the best first 7 days of my educational career, outside of it not having air conditioning.
Oh my, look, if I were a parent, I would have reported these people. John in there sweating to death. The kids are sweating to death. It's an old building,
Oh yeah, it's really old.
but still, like work.
It's work conditions. Honestly, I didn't know this was regular practice though. This is the first time in my 22 years that I've ever worked in a building that didn't have air conditioning or something to supplement the temperature of the room. Like, you walk in there and you like, in my head, so these kids, they've been doing this. So to me, I'm thinking like, where have I been where this is okay? And this is Michigan, the capital metropolitan area of Michigan.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the capital city.
Yeah, I felt like, look. But you know what's crazy is that I grew up in this school system. So I must have been in these classes with no air conditioning. But I don't remember, is it climate change? Because I don't remember burning. Look, we went to go set his room up. And I don't know who told me to wear sweatpants. I wore a t-shirt and sweatshirt because it was cool outside. But you go inside.
It's a temperature change. It's crazy.
Heck yeah. And that was just with 2 bodies in the room.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
only imagine with 30 bodies in the room.
Yeah, one of the teachers had a temperature, what is it, thermometer? Yeah, not a thermometer. But
Thermostat?
Thermostat. No, I don't know. But, check the temperature, right? And she said it was 89 degrees. It was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 in the morning. And I was just like, I'm pretty sure it felt that way. Like, it was hot to me. I was in a shirt and tie on the first day trying to establish culture and show that, you should be dressed for success on the first day. And I don't think that was a good idea.
The rest of the week, he's like trying to find lightweight shirts to wear. That little choker and bow tie wasn't working no more, huh?
No, but I mean, I think hopefully that was the last week of the heat. Hopefully, that's going to be the last week for the hot weather, because I just feel bad for them as students.
I would too.
Thinking that's proper conditions to like learn.
Yeah, I don't know if I could concentrate. Look, all week I've been telling John to pass out. I was like, just walk down, just pass out.
Hey, look, some of the parents said, hey, I told my kids to tell the kids to pass out because that's unacceptable. And I was just like, that is crazy.
But the thing about it is as a parent, I will be raising hell on a different level. Like, I can't do it as the wife of a teacher, but if I had a student there, like, they're not going to immediately move you to a different space, but they should be actively trying to remedy that. Even because it's not even like, oh, it's just a couple weeks and then it's going to start cooling off. Summer going to come back. Like spring is going to come back around.
Coming back.
And then it's going to do the same thing.
And this was like very mild. Like, so the temperature got up to 89 and that day the high was only 82 or 83. So it wasn't even like a hot day. Just imagine when that temperature increased.
83 is a hot day for me.
Well, 83, but I'm just saying the temperature
89.
like 89 inside the classroom. Like it was like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, I'm going to tell you how hot it was. Like, I don't complain about too many things, but in my head, I was like, am I being petty? Like, should I just suck it up? Because the kids weren't complaining as much as I was in my head.
Because the kids are used to it. That's cool.
I know.
They did that last year and the year before. So to them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? But I hate to be able to say I got used to like existing in those type of conditions. Let my brain would just shut off and be like, you know what? I ain't gonna do it. But that part aside, it was a good week for you.
The best ever. The kids, I think, get a bad reputation. But I think hands down, these are the best group of kids I've ever had. And it wasn't that I had an expectation from them. I just thought they would be kids, but they weren't what people say they are. When I told people where I was going, the people that heard the name,
I remember that.
They was like, oh, and immediately I was like, that's where I need to be, you know, because I felt like my presence would be felt. But these kids are like, they're kids. They did not, even the kids that I don't know, they seem really respectful and they're welcoming.
Do you think they're honeymooning?
No, because I've honeymooned in other,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
So,
this ain't it.
yeah, like I've honeymooned. Like I don't think, not at all. I think these kids, like, so check this out. I told them, I said, hey, every teacher has rules. And a lot of times you just don't understand them. But I'm going to teach you my rules so that you can always play in bounds. And I said, if you know my rules, then you can pretty much do what you want. You can operate on your own. And it was some new kids that came into the classroom. And I was like, hey, this was like a few days later. And I was like, I'm going to teach you the rules of the classroom so that, you know, you guys can be successful. And the other guy, some kid, I was like, hey, let him do what he do. Like, you can really do whatever. If you know the rules, just.
He was co-signing.
Yeah.
Don't mess up the flow in here.
Yeah. Because I told him, I said, are you allowed to talk as much in your other classrooms? It was like, no. And I was like, well, when are the only time that you can't talk? It was like when somebody has the floor. That's it. And I was like, if you can do that and keep it at a tone where nobody from outside is going to come in, you can talk as much as you want. As long as nobody's being disrespectful, you're completing your work, you know what you're supposed to do, we're going to do really well. And to me, I feel like you got to get kids to accept that part of a functioning classroom. If they don't, it's really difficult to like control the classroom.
Do you think part of that is because you're a male teacher?
Maybe. But I think they're very effective female teachers that I think that the females that I know that are effective, they have a different tone. It's more business-like. I don't think they present themselves in a cool fashion. Yeah, because to me, I already know in my head I'm about to give them 1,000 chances. So if I can show them that I'm a safe place, that it's okay to make a mistake, they'll correct it faster. You know, because it was like, God, they keep giving me chances. I don't want to keep messing up. So to me, I felt like I just went in with the expectation to give them as many chances as they need, but hey, let them know that the behavior has not changed yet. And I think that's what pretty much, but these kids, it's been really few corrections.
That's cool.
Oh, you have no idea. The corrections that I have to make, it's like, I know that that's just their practice and it's a little longer, but overall, the amount of students that I have to correct, the percentage is so much smaller than what I've seen in the past. And to me, I feel like, and I'm creating my routine. These kids are going to be very successful by the end of the year. Yeah.
I look forward to hearing more about their successes.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's I remember you talked about a kid from a previous school. As soon as they saw you show up at their new school, their feelings, it looked like there was still beef. Have you come across that student?
You know, I don't think she goes there anymore. She was just there for the summer. I have not seen her because I just definitely was like, dang, I have not seen her.
Because, you know, I was thinking about as a teacher, as in a lot of roles, sometimes you end up being a villain, and that's not really your intention. But so when I was at work, I was a villain one time, and it just I wonder about how it spreads. So I was wondering about how she's, her feelings about you might have spread, but it's good that it didn't. But I was telling, we were recounting back to when I first became a nurse, and there was a guy that was making advances. Like, his conversation was out of hand. And I would be like, okay, so, I'm married, and he was married, and I would continue or whatever. He would continue to make advances. I'm like, look, I'm trying to tell you, like, you need to back up. And one day he caught me in the hallway. It was like right before my shift. There's nobody in the hallway, and he said something outlandish. And when I say, I stopped and I looked him dead in his eye and I told him off. And I was like, okay, so that means I don't have to. I said, do we understand each other? And he was like, yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
I don't remember what I said, but I know that I gave him the business. And his wife worked in housekeeping on the floor that I worked on. And he was in transportation. And I mentioned that too. Like, don't put me out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like it was just around when I was alone. He would do that in front of other people. And I'm like, it's other housekeepers here, there's other techs here. They talk to each other. So you gonna run around and make me the villain of this woman's story. And I'm not even trying to be that, right? Well, that day I became his villain. And do you know, this man told the whole transportation department, all the people who like transport patients to like radiology and surgery and stuff, he told them, don't answer my phone calls. So the whole day, well, not the whole day, because I caught on pretty quick, I was like calling, and nobody would come and pick up my patients. Now, you can't be salty and then the patients can't get where they need to get to. So I go up to the med surge floor. I was the surgical floor. I go up to the med surge floor. All the transportation people are all standing there leaning against the nurse's station. And I knew them. I'm going off. I was like, none of y'all answering. Da, 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 da. They said, no, we're not answering Kay's phone. I said, dummy, I'm Kay. And he was like, oh, well, such and such told us that da 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 da, and we need to, don't answer her call. I was like, so y'all gonna jeopardize your job? And so then I said, this is what he said to me today. And da da da, and this is what I said. And they were like, oh. I was like, I won't mess around, and I'm about to tell on y'all, you better come down and get my patient. So I became the villain.
That's crazy.
Like, to the detriment of my patients, though. But I became the villain, and it wasn't even anything that I did.
Well, I remember when you first told me what you said, and I was like, do you expect me to say that to women?
Because my thing is that we were a young married couple, and I'm all about setting a boundary. And John, he thinks that setting boundaries is mean. It doesn't have to be. In that case, it was, because I had already tried to nicely say what I wanted to say numerous times because I was new to this job. So I didn't want to bother anybody, or I didn't want an issue at all. And so to me, like, when we got married, I was teaching, and everybody knew. We were all really cool, and they understood. And so I didn't have to get nobody told at work. When I went here, I was like, I don't understand why this dude just don't get it.
So you're saying from teaching, you didn't have to deal with that, but when you went into nursing, you had to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was just this one guy. Nobody else at that hospital did any of that stuff. But it just made me think about how when you become the villain of somebody's story, they'll make you the villain for everybody. And I could have been the villain for his wife. I was the villain for the transport staff. Like, what is that? And so I was thinking about that student, and I'm like, could she make you the villain of anybody else? And you've already established a really great rapport with your students where it's like, even if she says something, they'd be like, nuh-uh. Now me, I was new. Now they knew the transport, they just didn't know that Kanika and Kay were the same person. And so when I was like, why are y'all ignoring my call? They literally jumped on the bandwagon and made it out to be that I was a villain, and I wasn't. Mm-hmm. But somebody was talking about who are you the villain of somebody's story? So are you the villain? Can you say, not like name a person, but can you think to yourself and be like, yeah, I'm a villain to some people's story?
Yeah, I definitely believe in the beginning of my life, like the first 40 of it. 40 years of it.
You was ragging them up.
You know, because I didn't know I was the villain in their story. I just thought I was the main character. So
I just thought.
Well, I feel like you're the main character in your own story, right?
Yeah, but you said you were the main character of their story.
Oh no, I didn't intend to be that. But I was going to be the main character in whatever scene I was playing a role in. And I grew up where it was very easy to talk about people or make people feel less than. Mm. But that wasn't my intent, though. My intent was just to make people laugh. But I became a villain in most of my scenes. Mm. But it was more so like, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I had villain moments because the character I played the intent was to make everybody happy. Mm. And I think that's what it was. But I would take some casualties to make the majority happy. Mm. So if it was something for me to recognize, like I would pass something as simple for a moment to get like majority of the attention of people.
This looks like the time.
Yeah.
This is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. But yeah, I know I was. Now, the most recent, I think I was a villain and a teacher in the other building. Mm. You remember the older lady? I was trying to help her, but I don't think she thought I was trying to help her because for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I think I was a villain to her, because somebody said, why does she hate you so much? I was like, I didn't know.
Stab.
I was like, I don't know.
I didn't know it was hate.
Yeah. And that humbled the heck out of me because I would have never thought that anybody would be able to use that word now. So I don't know if she would just kind of misuse the word, but for her to even use it, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that was still one of my better years in education. And I'm pretty sure I'm a villain. I don't think I'm the villain to prevent anybody from getting somewhere, but just maybe I took some happy moments away from them. Mm. Yeah, so no, hopefully I didn't take that many moments where I could be a villain in their story. That'd be horrible.
Yeah. Dang. Well, and so in the moments where, like, you've tried to be really intentional about how you interact with people in the last number of years. So if you become the villain to someone now as who you are you okay with that?
I would like to know what I did so that I don't do it again. I'm hoping that I would be able to get the information. I'm hoping I can recognize any energy that I'm giving off, because if I give that, like, you know how people say you can't make everybody happy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make anybody happy. You're right. But I don't want to do that.
Right.
And if I could prevent that, I would love to. Like, it's not that I'm not trying to make everybody happy, but I just don't want to step on you if I don't have to. Mm-hmm. And if I stepped on you, it's because I didn't know I did it, or it was unintentional. That's it.
Well, sometimes I think we're the villain of people's stories. But for me, if I'm the villain of your story, I can accept it. I'm just curious as to what led up to it. Because sometimes I'm okay with walking away from some people's story and being a villain. Because if you violated me enough, because the story about you, it doesn't include all of the stuff that you did in the beginning when you were trying to help. Mm-hmm. It starts where you made them mad, where you changed roles for them. That's where the story starts. And if people tell you, or if they spread stories about you where it starts there, like, my thing is, well, ask them about before that though. What was I doing before that? Because there are people who, they don't necessarily like me now, but it wasn't always like that. And I don't intentionally hurt anybody either. However, I get to a breaking point where I don't really care how you feel about what I said or how I said it before I did, because, I'm a decent human being. Mm-hmm. However, after a while of me doing what I think is right or trying to work with you, and I see that it's not working and you're getting to the point where you're pushing me too far. If I'm short with you, if my words are not as sweet and kind or have as much grace as it did before, and then all of a sudden you tell everybody the story that this is who I am, I'm cool. I'll be that. I remember when I was younger, people would be like, I'll be that. No, I will be that. It's okay. Now, when it's other people's choice to interact with me and find that I'm different. But there are some people that when I walk away from interacting with them, I'm going to be their villain, and I'm all right with that. Because if I am, then there was a whole lot that preceded that moment that you're just not putting in there. And I'm all right with that. And it made me think about that with those guys. Like, their interaction with me was always cool. And they were like, oh, we'll answer your call. We just ignoring this person. I am that person. So their own personal interaction with me, some people, they're going to lose out on the opportunity to get to know me because they follow the lead of others. I'm all right with that too. I don't have a problem with not having a friend. I don't have a problem with losing people along the way. I don't even have a problem with offending people if I know I've already tried to be nice and helpful and, myself. Like, I don't enter into engagement with people and I'm nasty. I remember somebody else said that too. Somebody else, we lived overseas. There was this woman, and she threw a party, and John took me to the party. We saw her, wished her happy birthday. We really enjoyed the evening. I still remember that night, and I have a picture of it. And I was like, oh, I saw her at another event, and it was like whatever I must have done or what she perceived had happened, she had been holding on to that for like over a year. And when I saw her again, it was like she couldn't even wait for me to say anything. It was like a group of women. We were standing there, and she walked up, and I was like, hey, how are you? She was like, don't talk to me. I ain't never seen nobody do that before. I was like, She was like, yeah, the last time we met up, you were real nasty. You did this or you did that. And I was like, I said, I don't think you might not be thinking about the same person. Like, I remember I saw you at your birthday, and it was, you had a really nice party. She was like, yeah, and you were really nasty. And I forget what she said I exactly did, but I was like, now it's me standing there blindsided. And there were other women there that I had just been talking to, and everybody was like quiet. And I was like, okay. And so she's going on, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna let her have it, because I don't remember the interaction. Like, I told her, and I'm gonna tell you once, I told her, oh, our interaction wasn't even like that. I remember it was da-da-da-da. And she said, no, it da-da-da. I said, oh, okay. And I let her finish getting her gripe out. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry that you felt that way. Now, in my spirit, I know that wasn't me, because the whole time I was with John. Yeah,
I don't even remember we didn't have no negative interaction the whole night. And we would have talked about it at least.
Yeah. And so, but I let her have that. And she felt, I could tell by the look on her face that she felt like she had been waiting to say that to me. And she felt so much better about herself. It was like, her chest was all poked out and everything. I was like, all right then. Now, I was the villain that day. I was like, I didn't understand why, but she was so convinced. What was I going to fight her for? Yeah. I was like, okay.
That's pretty good self-control, though.
Well, this is the thing. We were on a yacht. Where I'm about to go, I'm toss you off this boat. Like, to me, it just felt like, go ahead and get it out of your system, because you feel really strongly about this. But there was another moment in which somebody said to John that I looked unapproachable at some event or whatever, and I hadn't even been there. They were talking about another friend's wife. And so I was like, I wasn't even there. And he was like, I know, you weren't there. And then we figured out it was the other man's wife. But it's like, to me, that could have been the situation. She could have dealt with somebody else. She could have been drinking. dealt with somebody else, thought it was me, did whatever. But I let her have that. That's all right. In that case, it wasn't that I knew that I did something and I was like, well, what did you do to me beforehand? But she wasn't significant enough in my life for me to argue with her and say, no, like, for real. I saw her like one more time after that. She wasn't important enough for me to argue about whether or not I was fair, unfair, rude or not to her. But there are other people. I'm not going to argue with you about being your villain either, because some people have really, really pushed me, like my generosity or, just being nice. They pushed it and now I can't do nothing else for you. And that's okay. I'm all right with being your villain in that case, because it's like, if you would have done this and it would have helped me. Yeah, well, I already tried to help you in other ways. And we talked about that before. I didn't help you the way you wanted me to help you. I helped you, but it wasn't the way you asked me to. And so now it's a problem. That's all right. I'm all right with that too. But I don't know. I guess I'm wondering, were there any, because I know that as you changed, you would meet people from your past. Were there any people that expressed like discomfort with you, that the experience was, you were kind of villainous in that moment and you found you had to apologize? Or were there some people you was like, that's all right?
No, I wanted to apologize to any and everybody. Anybody that I could really remember, I attempted to. If I didn't remember, I kind of like made a detailed post to anybody that may have known somebody that knows somebody.
You did a blanket apology?
Yeah, because if I couldn't remember, I said, if I have not reached out to you, it's either because I've forgotten, I'm too old or whatnot. It's something to the extent that I don't want anybody to think that anybody was forgotten.
Right.
Because there was a time in my life where I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I care more, but I do care that if I was able to hinder somebody from a happy day, a happy moment, that it was just immaturity and whatever messages that I was believing at the time. But now I know it's probably too late. I've created a different person from the nastiness that I displayed, but I want them to know that I've matured enough to like apologize. And if they don't forgive me, I'm just going to keep getting better. And hopefully they'll be like, he really was immature and he meant it. So, I just care to that extent. Like, I don't, like, if you don't accept it, I'm not going to I'm not going to do anything. Like, I get it. That's your right.
Yeah.
But, because I know the type of person that I am, the energy that you're giving toward it, like, it was a joke at the time. It was just my immaturity. Like, but outside of that, I'm sorry that you feel that way, because that's a lot of energy towards somebody that's not given the care about it.
Well, and do you mean like you're sorry that they feel
that it took away from them?
Oh, okay. You're sorry that you made them feel that
Yes.
way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like anybody.
Because they talk about when you apologize to people, be like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry
I created what I responded in a way for them to feel that way.
Right.
Yeah, like, no, I made them feel that way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, that wasn't my intent. My intent for you to laugh.
Yeah. And I guess that is the thing too, is were you intentionally going out? Like, I'm never intentionally going after somebody to hurt them. Oh
yeah, I was. But I felt, even though I was in my head, like when people was coming at me, they wanted everybody to laugh, and I was like, I've cried so many times. I felt like everybody had already gone through, you've been talked about enough times where you don't cry, you'll just laugh. And I didn't realize that people didn't ever get to that point.
That, and that's interesting, because you've experienced something that really calloused that softer part of you, and then you be like, everybody ain't callous yet.
It's great. I know.
All of y'all ain't leveled up yet.
So I definitely been building a lot of people's lives. So just hopefully now time heals and I'll get the opportunity to put it in the words where somebody can say, thank you. Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
No.
I want to give a shout out to all the people that I was a villain to. because some of them probably was completely unnecessary. I definitely was a bully to a lot in my younger years, but I didn't know I was a bully. I wasn't intentionally being a bully. I was just intentionally trying to get attention because I felt like I enjoyed the dopamine of making people smile, and anybody could get it. All the way to like 40.
Oh, yeah.
But y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.